Hello YouTube, I'm Reverend Evan Sackett, founder of the Visual Circle Church. In leading any organization, regardless of the concept or the ambition of the organization, in most cases you have organizations that support one particular ideal that, regardless of whether or not there's a certain amount of people that agree or disagree with it, there is no omniscient point of view saying that it's wrong. For instance, gay and lesbian rights. Any organization that advocates gay and lesbian rights, you'll have 50% of people that agree with it, 50% of people that don't. But there's no omniscient God point of view that says that that is wrong. The same with most things that organizations support. But in our case, it's a little bit different because we support extreme freedom. Now, the problem with having an organization that supports extreme freedom and individuality is people don't really understand that concept because people don't really understand the definition of freedom. The definition of freedom is when a person has the right to make choices, even though those choices that they make may not be in their best interest. A person has the right to not work even though it would be in their best interest to work, or a person has the right to eat fattening foods when it's in their best interest to eat healthy foods. It doesn't matter because it's their choice. Now, in supporting an organization that advocates extreme freedom, there are certain things that you're going to have to support. I want to make something very clear. The Visual Circle Church does not advocate drug use. We simply support an individual's right to make the decision to use certain drugs if they so choose. The reason for this is that America is heading down a downward spiral of seizing individuals' rights. The government's saying, okay, this is bad for you, we should make this illegal, we should make that illegal. Eventually it's going to come to the point where smoking, alcohol, fattening foods, caffeine are all going to be made illegal because they're bad for individuals. But individuals should have the right to choose whether or not they want to use these substances simply because it is their right as a human being to choose whether or not they want to do them. The same should be true of certain drugs. Now, of course, there are certain drugs that should never be legalized. The ones that come to mind are methamphetamine, cocaine, high-speed stimulants, possibly high alter-acting hallucinogens like LSD, possibly. But the drugs that should be legalized, obviously, are marijuana. And in my opinion, I feel that certain pain-relieving medications, opiates, should be made legal, simply for the fact that there are people who need these pain-relieving medications but are unable to receive them from a doctor because doctors refuse to prescribe them because the DEA will get onto them, or simply because there is a social stigma attached to taking pain medication. There shouldn't be, because it seems that anytime someone finds something that makes them feel good or maybe would enhance their life in some way, it automatically becomes illegal. It's a habit. You shouldn't do it. Get off of it. Get away from it. But it's becoming ridiculous what we are considering addiction to be these days. If a person finds anything that they like to hold on to, whether it be video games, whether it be watching TV excessively, whether it be sex, it's automatically considered an addiction. I mean, there's obvious points where you can say, okay, this person's got a problem when it's interfering with their life, when they're not performing their other tasks as they should because they are busy being addicted to some particular thing. But anything can be addicting. And what people don't seem to understand about drug use is the most dangerous drugs of all are right here in your own house. They're the drugs that your children are huffing, the drugs that your children are using behind your back, possibly. They're huffing paint, they're huffing gasoline, they're huffing air freshener, they're huffing computer duster. These drugs are far more dangerous than any drug on the illicit market today. And the bottom line is people that want to use are going to use. Doesn't matter how illegal you make the drugs, how much punishment you give someone for taking the drugs, they're going to use them. I mean, the problem with America is that rather than accept reality, deal with reality, and work on a solution based on that reality, we focus on an unrealistic goal. For instance, a drug-free America. America is never going to be drug-free. You're never going to eliminate the drugs, but yet we're working toward this unrealistic goal. The government doesn't want to wipe out drugs. If they did, the DEA wouldn't have jobs. We don't want to wipe out crime because if we did, police wouldn't have jobs. It's common sense if you think about it. The bottom line is that American rights should be left to the citizen. The citizen should have choice, the right to choose what they want to do, within reason, obviously. But, I mean, if alcohol can be legal, certainly marijuana should be made legal, and certainly pain-relieving medications should be made more freely available and legally enhanced to the people, simply because it's people's right to choose whether or not they want to use these substances. It should be left up to the individual. People are going to use regardless. No amount of restraint, no amount of morality, no amount of cultural bullshit crammed down the throats of Americans is going to make the ones who want to use stop using. They have an addictive personality. They're going to use one way or the other. So what we should do is make these certain drugs legal. Therefore, it will kill the black market, in retrospect, killing the crime that occurs from the black market of that particular drug. You make marijuana illegal, all the crime that occurs because of the black market of marijuana will be non-existent, because there will not be a black market in marijuana anymore. It's the same with pain-relieving medications, or certain things in that category. This is just one factor, but it's an important factor, because if we can